Hi everyone, and welcome to this next lesson in design and manufacture. So we're going to look at specification this lesson, as writing a specification will be the first task you have to do in your upcoming design assignment. So as a reminder, here is an overview of the design assignment. So the first pages will include your design brief and the research into the brief, and this will be provided by the SQA. There'll be no requirement for you to carry out any of your own research, so that will all be provided on a pro forma document. So you will have to analyse the brief that you're given and interpret the research on the page, and this will be your first step, and you'll use that information to put together your specification. So you will add that specification onto the bottom left hand corner of your pro forma page, and it'll be a bullet point list that you'll write in here. Once you've created that specification, you'll then move on to your idea generation. You'll then select your preferred idea, you'll justify this, move on to exploring it and refining it, and then you'll finalise your sizes, your assembly method, before moving on to your plan for manufacture. And remember, your plan for manufacture will include your sequence of operation and your cutting list. So that's just an overview of the whole design assignment stages. So the specification. This is a list of things that the product must do. It gives details about the product with precise information and facts. It's written down when you're working out in industry, following discussions with clients, and you would analyse the design brief that they give you, and you would undertake any research to find out things that you don't know or things you need to explore further. Now remember, this will be provided for you this time round in the design assignment. That will be laid out on the pro forma page, so you will have to read through it and then interpret it to put together into the spec. Designers use specifications as checklists to ensure their designs match the design brief and to avoid going down an avenue where they're designing something that is just unsuitable. So throughout your design assignment, you should constantly be referring back to the specification and make sure that you're on point, that you're designing something that is suitable and that it meets the brief that you've been set out. You should always present your specification as a list of clearly defined statements that begin with "it must" or "it should." So it must or it should. And you shouldn't add any information into the spec that isn't part of the brief or hasn't been interpreted from the research. It must be based on these things. So remember to keep your spec handy and refer back to it while you're designing, you're going through your idea generation and your development, and make sure you don't forget any of the main points, and this will make sure that your product that you're designing is successful. That's the pro forma. So just have a look at how specifications should be written down and how they can be broken down into the design factors. And we would encourage this because it helps you evaluate your ideas and it will help with your annotations of each of your ideas against a particular design factor. So this is an example for a children's garden play set, and you can see how the points are laid out. It's been broken down into function, the main thing that the play set should do, and then aesthetics, which is about how the play set is going to look. So it must allow for a maximum of 3 children to play at one time, and it must include a slide. So notice the use of these words must and should. Under aesthetics, we've got 3 points, so it must be colourful, it should have a simplistic style, and it should contain the colour green. So really concise, to the point statements. Another example for a soap dish. It must hold a bar of soap 70 by 50 by 30. So that would have been worked out through measurement of typical soap bars as part of the research. It must have a durable waterproof finish that will not rot in a damp, humid environment, like a bathroom. Think of the shower being on, you get a lot of humidity in the air. It must be shaped to hold a bar of soap. It must be easy to clean with water. It must be waterproof. It must be easy to assemble. It must be designed with a modern aesthetic. And it must be available in different finishes or materials to appeal to a wide market. So some really concise points, all starting with it must. So what I'd like you to do at this point is pause the video and have a think about these 8 points and decide which of the design factors they would relate to. I'm going to give you 4 headings that you can write down and then assign them under each of these 4 headings. So function, the main thing the product does. Durability, can it withstand wear and tear in its daily intended use? Aesthetics, how the product looks. And performance, is it fit for purpose as a soap holder? So have a pause, and then on the next slide we'll go through and see if you've put them against the correct design factors. So this is where each of the points should be assigned in terms of which design factor they relate to. So it must hold a bar of soap 70 by 50 by 30 is the function. It must have a durable waterproof finish that will not rot in a damp, humid environment, durability. Must be shaped to hold a bar of soap is function. It must be easy to clean with water, performance. It must be waterproof is also performance. And it must be easy to assemble is also performance. Under aesthetics we have it must be designed with a modern aesthetic, and it must be available in different finishes or materials to appeal to a wide market. So hopefully you got them right. If not, make a note and you can use this to help you in the future. So we're going to have an opportunity now for you to practice creating your own specification. I've got a design brief here we'll just talk over, and then in the next slide we have some research, and you're going to use both of those to put together a spec. So the design brief is from a client, so it's Argos, who want to introduce a new affordable mobile phone holder, and this is to be used in office desks, and it's been driven by a demand, a customer demand, who are looking for this product because phones keep falling off tables and they're getting broken. So you've been commissioned to design this range, and it's got to appeal to both men and women, and the age range is 18 to 40 years old. The holder has to be suitable for an iPhone 8 because that complements the phones that Argos are selling, the Apple range, and this task will require you to work within a strict time frame to put together a prototype for a specific launch date. So that's what the client's asking you for. Now, some research has been undertaken. First of all, the dimension of the iPhone 8, it's you can see up there 130mm by 67 and a depth of 7.3, so we know the size of that. The research also found that consumers wanted to be able to charge the phone while sitting in the holder, and they want it to be suitable for use in a professional office environment for sitting on a desk. The questionnaire gathered some data on colour and material preference, and you can see the results there. So the highest percentage of people, 40%, preferred the black colour, and in terms of material, it was split between acrylic and wood were equally as popular. The survey also asked about an element of fun to the product to make it a bit more interesting, but the results showed that the people weren't keen on that. So 75% of people said no, they didn't want any element of fun, so you were thinking about a kind of more serious product. So the brief that we talked through there and the research are on the PDF uploaded onto Satchel 1. So you must use those two bits of information to write your specification. It should have a minimum of 8 points, and you must use the it must statements. And do your best to assign each of the points to a relevant design factor. Once you've done that, you should take a photo of it, or if you're writing on a Word document, you can submit that to your teacher and you'll get some feedback. So thank you for listening and good luck with the task.